Court. Because the moment those rulings were made, only the High Court could vary that position. That if you wanted, you are dissatisfied with what those magistrates said, you needed to go and convince a judge of the High Court that these are such dangerous people that your landed colleagues at Roiro and Kiambu got it wrong, and we must detain them. That has not happened. And it is the reason why we say the arrest and arraignment constitutes abuse of power, and the charges that they have preferred and want to be registered before this court constitute abuse of court process. This, Your Honor, I beseech you not to permit the prosecution and the Kenyan state to do this. Because it would mean that the Constitution means what the police and the DPP says it means. Your Honor, under our law, the Constitution is written, we know its meaning, and in terms of dispute, it means what the courts have interpreted. If the magistrates in Roiro and Kiambu got it wrong, get another interpretation on the meaning of our laws from the High Court. Anything short of that would turn this country into a police state. And, Your Honor, we cannot have... So that, Your Honor, to get into those other 5 points, now that you have that background, Your Honor, it is important that we point out that for purposes of Section 4 of the Constitution, Kenya is a constitutional democracy. That is Sections 4.2. And there is a constitutional democracy in which the values and principles referred to in Article 10 applies. One of them is to ensure that there is protection of law and the Bill of Rights. We submit that in a situation where a serious issues arise as to what is the correct conduct for a constitutional democracy, you cannot be able to say you have valid charges. In short, Your Honor, therefore, we are beseeching this court to make a finding that in a constitutional democracy, like it was done in Bennett versus Osfery in England, this kind of state conduct cannot be permitted. Secondly, Your Honor, is the issue of Article 38. Your Honor, the issue of Article 38 is important because that is the rights that were being exercised on the material day, the 25th of June, across the country. And it is important because my learned colleagues had said something about it, just for me to say that in the definition for purposes, I believe, of Section 4, there is a proviso that is made. Oh, yes. Yes, there is a proviso that is made that, that is Section 2, actually, that with regard to that where a protest stoppage of work, that there is an attempt that is made by the Anti-Prevention of Terrorism Act to make sure that this law would not apply to certain kind of actions of a political nature. Your Honor, it is our submission that this proviso in Sections 2 of the Prevention of Terrorism Act was meant to ensure that in enforcing, in the implementation of the Prevention of Terrorism Act, the state would not cross the boundary, because actions that and undoubtedly of a terroristic nature are punished separately from actions, any inconvenience, any destruction of property that happens in the course of pursuance of a political cause. That was the distinction that was sought to be made. And I believe, as I believe we've had this discussion previously with Senior Counsel Kalonzo Musyoka, the reason was simple. Why Parliament needed this proviso to be included, that we have it in fake democracies, starting with places like Uganda, where citizens engaging in legitimate political actions end up being charged with terrorist actions and in military courts. In this case, the closest they are getting is to come to a court that is supposed to deal with Al-Shabaab and other people dealing with dangerous things. Yona, this proviso is a logical basis for you, and I thank you for saying that you will take judicial notice of certain events, that the event of June 25, unless it can be categorized that throughout the country, that was a terrorist activity waged by Kenyan citizens across Kenya, there would be no basis to say some Kenyans who went to the streets on the same grounds committed terrorism. Everybody else did not commit terrorism. The law must be rational. Because the day it ceases to be rational, it becomes impunity. You know, the related point, and which seeks to fortify Article 38